service. What is up, listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Full Service Podcast. I am Tank Smith, your host. Today is episode 32. I appreciate y'all being here. We're living in the age of Corona. Things are uncertain. I hope everything's all right wherever you're at. I had a solo episode last week, so oh boy, got an interview for y'all today. I'm excited. My guest is Jade Adore. She is a North Florida-based escort, writer, dancer. We recorded this, I guess, at the end of March. We might have broke a little quarantine. Don't tell anybody, but we're living. We're thriving. We're all right. You can follow Jade on Instagram and Twitter at Jade Adore XO. You can follow us at Full Service Pod. My personal Instagram and Twitter at Tank Funkadelic. If you enjoy what's happening on the podcast, if you like us, subscribe. If you could give us a rating, perhaps write us a review, that would be amazing. I'm excited for this episode today. I can confidently say if you were on the fence about this podcast before, you're like, I don't know if I fuck with the podcast. And then after listening to this, you're like, I'm still like, I don't know if I fuck with the, hey, you might not just fuck with the podcast. That's all right. This podcast ain't for everybody. But if you've been rocking with us since the beginning, perhaps if you're new to the podcast, I appreciate y'all being here. Well, no, I hope you enjoy this episode with Jade Adore. Fucking happy Tuesday. All right, later. What is up, listeners? We are back. It's Tank Smith. I'm so fucking excited for this episode today. My guest today, Jade Adore. Thanks for being on the podcast.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm glad we're at uncertain times right now.
Yeah.
We're living in the age of Corona. I'm glad we're able to make this happen.
Oh, yeah. It's very strange.
It's like, I've never experienced anything like this. It's crazy.
It's dystopia.
We'll see. We'll all get through it, though. We'll be
Yeah.
good. We'll come out on the other end. We'll be better.
Yeah, whenever that is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
2021 is the year. We were saying
Right.
2020. Nope, 2021 was the year.
2021, yeah.
If only we would have known. I wish I could have hibernated or something.
Yeah.
Just done something.
This is hibernation now.
Yeah,
honestly.
this is, goddamn. But listeners, we are in Atlanta once again. We are in Atlanta. How are you? Where are you based out of? Are you based in Atlanta? Where are you?
I'm based out of North Florida, but I come to Atlanta a lot.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm back and forth. I've been to quite a few places in 2019, just going from city to city. Now I've kind of settled down, and so now I'm just in Atlanta.
Sweet.
Especially during this uncertainty with everything at a standstill.
I feel like it's a good place to be because there are also a lot of good medical facilities in Atlanta. If any shit goes down, I'm like, well, exactly. I know I can go.
There's a lot.
To a bunch of different spots.
Exactly.
You got a favorite thing to do in Atlanta at all?
I don't know. We haven't really explored Atlanta that much, but there's a lot of good food. There's a lot of good vegan food. I'm vegan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good vegan food.
Nice. What's the best vegan dish? Is there a best vegan dish
any Asian food, because it can all be vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
It's already kind of vegetarian. Pad Thai. Vegetarian Pad Thai is really good.
Okay.
Any type of vegan burger can be really good. I'm not really into the vegan meat, but that's really good.
I need to. Is Taco Bell? They have a
lot of vegan options. I've visited Taco Bell a couple times.
I know. Yeah, Del Taco also. They got a Beyond Meat taco. Or is that vegan? Is Beyond Meat? Is that what the vegan?
It's vegan. Yeah, it's novelty vegan. I've tried Beyond Meat at the Impossible Whopper. No, that's Impossible Meat.
Oh, that's the Impossible. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. How long have you been vegan?
I've been vegan for about 4 years now.
Do you feel like I should go vegan?
I feel like everyone should, but also I shouldn't tell anyone what to do, but it was the right decision for me, for sure.
Is it more expensive? Do you feel like you're spending more on food than you were before?
Yes, but only because I'm eating more. Not because the food is more expensive.
Oh, okay.
It's just because I have to eat more, because you'll be a little bit hungrier as a vegan if you don't know how to get those nutritional gaps filled in. But
okay, that makes sense.
You eat so much more.
I need to do. I feel like I did keto. I did keto once for a couple weeks, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah, didn't like it too much.
Nah, it was really the election that set me back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I ate 2 pizzas on election night. So.
Understandable. That was 2016. Yeah.
I saw this. I ran into this dude that I knew that used to be like 400 plus pounds, and then he had lost like over 200 pounds, and I was like, dude, how did you do that? And he's like, keto. And then the next day I'm like, well, I'm keto now.
Wow.
And then it lasted.
And then pizza.
Yeah. And then the election happened. Maybe if I'd seen him over the summer, it would have lasted a couple months, but
yeah.
It's a couple weeks. It wasn't good.
I feel like with vegan food, you feel so much lighter. It's just, there's so many options. I think some people don't know there's a lot of options, but you can make anything. It just doesn't have meat or cheese.
I need to look into it more because I know some people that are vegan, and everybody I know that's vegan, they're like happy. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
so
the food.
better.
I don't know if it's the food or what it is, but
yeah.
At least you can feel better than everybody else.
Yeah, you're probably cooking more, and your skin's glowing. And
yeah, you're like, I'm not adding to global warming by consuming meat.
Exactly.
You
can look my dog in the eye. Like,
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate you coming to the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
I know. Initially, it's been I hit you up in October for the podcast. This is crazy. It doesn't happen because I hit up a bunch of people. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, sure," later, and I was like, "Okay, I know what that means," Right. But I'm glad it actually just 6 months later. It's crazy.
Right, 6 months of more experiences and more travel and stuff. I went from Atlanta to Tampa to St. Pete, back and forth.
You ever been to Busch Gardens?
Yes.
Tampa.
A long time ago, but yes.
That's right. Yeah.
It's very fun.
We used to play. I played travel baseball. We used to go to
Okay.
We used to go to Clearwater or whatever, so we'd always go to Busch Gardens one day.
Busch Gardens beautiful.
That's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. But no. I know we spoke before, so you're a writer. You started out as a dancer, escort. How long have you been when did you get into sex work?
I would say I really, really got into it mainly October of last year.
Okay.
Started dancing a little bit earlier than that. Had some experiences with sex work, like sugaring.
Okay.
Kind of early, 18. So that was a while ago. I'm 23, yeah.
Okay, sweet.
But mainly started with sugaring, got into dancing, and then went back to sugaring, and then thought, okay, gonna get into escorting.
How was sugaring compared to escorting? How do you like that?
Sugaring was a lot more maintenance, a lot more emotional labor, a lot more runaround, because it's basically you're dating someone.
Yeah.
So it's essentially dating in a way, but I feel like escorting is a little bit different because I feel like what the expectations are right off the bat, but with sugaring there's a lot more variety and what people want and a lot more emotional labor. Definitely.
I know, because it's you're almost catering, oh man, I have to cater to this one person's needs, right. And then somebody else you see is completely different, and it's versus this is 3 hours we're hanging out.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
You know what to expect. You set your own rules. People can look you up, see what you're about. But with sugaring, it's more incidental dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the low, but you get money in return or gifts or things like that. And that's another thing. I think escorting is more straightforward because it's not just gifts. It's actually you're paying bills.
Yeah.
And contributing to my livelihood.
Yeah. Can you remember the first time you think you heard of sex work at all? Is that...
Ooh, really, really young. Really young. Probably 15, 16, which is really most women, I think, or most girls. Especially watching TV shows like Tyra, Oprah, stuff like that. Not real life, true life.
Okay.
Stuff like that. The internet, of course, is at your disposal at that age. So you're researching things on Tumblr, seeing other people's experiences. I feel like people were open about it on YouTube as well, talking about their experiences.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of YouTube blogs for sure.
Oh, yeah. So that's how I first heard of it, just the idea. But at that time, I thought of it as, mainly sugaring, someone spoils you and so on and so forth. Now I have a more mature understanding of it, especially as an adult.
Yeah. How'd you get into like sugaring? How'd that start, I guess?
The internet.
Okay.
Yeah, Seeking Arrangement was like a really big site. It's
Oh
not
yeah, no.
the site anymore.
Sophia Soma a couple weeks ago. She had mentioned she started on Seeking.
Seeking, yeah, and there were different expectations then. I feel like now what the men are looking for are escorts. Sometimes they don't know it, but that's what they're looking for.
I'm like, dude, you're on the wrong website.
Yeah.
You need to go to another website for
exactly.
that. You know?
Slixia or something.
But I think it's they also too want this whole like intimacy and like companionship thing.
Exactly.
Without having to like put this boundary on it of we're hanging out for 2 hours, you know?
Right.
It's like they want essentially more of you for less and like unbound kind of situations. It's
And that's another reason why I had to get away from sugaring, because I feel like they want so much more for so much less, and they don't want to admit that they just want to exchange time for money.
Yeah.
Essentially. That's what they want.
That's weird. Shit's weird out there. Mm-hmm. Did you know anybody who was sugaring when you started, or were you kind of going into this yourself, just kind of blind, or?
Yes. When I first started, I actually shared a sugar daddy with someone, like with a friend that I knew in high school. And so there were people I knew from school who were doing that.
Okay.
People who had moved to like bigger cities who were doing that. So I knew some people, but not a whole lot of people that I was really close to.
Okay.
But
getting into, so you started dancing, right? How was your experience dancing?
Dancing is very interesting. Actually, I enjoy it most of the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but you can go anywhere and dance. That's actually how I was able to travel so much last year. I would go to Tampa, New Orleans, went to Texas, Atlanta, but dancing is very interesting.
Does it vary like city to city on how it kind of works? Like,
yeah, I think some cities are like more strict when it comes to dancing. Like there's more rules and regulations.
Okay.
I experienced that in New Orleans, like because there's more alcohol too. But in Florida, it's different because you can't be topless if there's alcohol.
Wait, you can't be topless?
Right, in Florida, if there's alcohol, like you can't get fully nude if there's alcohol. So the full nude places will have like juice or Red Bull.
Oh, okay, yeah. It used to be like that in North Carolina, to where it'd be like any kind of full nude place. There wasn't. It might have been BYOB or something, but they couldn't serve alcohol at all.
Exactly. So there's different rules, and like more places are more strict than others, but it just depends.
Do you have a favorite city that you danced in at all?
Always New Orleans.
New Orleans is best?
Always, yes.
I fell in love in Asheville, but she lives in New Orleans now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could see why, because it's a very eccentric city.
I need to go. Never been.
You've never been?
No,
what?
Never been. Because I lived in North Carolina. I lived in North Carolina for like a long time, and then I just moved to Atlanta. So I was like, I feel like driving from North Carolina to New Orleans that's a long drive.
Was it Raleigh? Which part of North Carolina?
Yeah, I was in Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm originally from San Diego.
Okay.
And then we moved to Charlotte,
North
Carolina.
Charlotte's
and ended up in Florida.
Hell yeah.
Definitely want to go back to Charlotte.
Fuck yeah. When you started escorting, right? Did you have any preconceived notions of what you thought escorting might be, like what the job would be, or did you kind of go in and be like, oh, this could be like sugaring except a little bit more structured, or what do you?
I expected it to be more straightforward, which is true. It's more straightforward. You know what to expect. You can brand yourself exactly how you want to.
Yeah.
I feel like with sugaring, it's a little bit different because it's more of a dating vibe. It's not like you are a brand and, you need to market to people who would be your ideal clientele or customer base.
Yeah.
Sugaring seems more like lax, but I expected it to be like more business wise. Like I'm a businesswoman and this is essentially my business.
Did you do a lot of research before you actually started?
I did. The internet, definitely. Twitter, there's a lot of research on there. I listened to podcasts as well.
Okay.
And found some ebooks and stuff like that. Tried to reach out to people who I know have done that before, things like that before. So yeah, did some research.
Did you feel like people were responsive and willing to kind of like help out when you reached out?
The people that I knew, I also spoke to people that I met in the strip clubs a lot. Sometimes dancers also do that as well. So I talked to other people who also did that. But
Okay.
some people were receptive. I feel like people who I felt comfortable enough to reach out to.
Yeah.
Never like strangers or anything like that.
Oh,
or people
okay.
I didn't really know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you had like a biggest challenge starting out in escorting?
I would say maybe advertisement, like
Okay.
putting my face out there, not my literal face, but
Yeah.
getting myself out there and deciding what my brand would be, or even just paying for ads, because I know Slixia was a thing. There's Tris, which is free, but like trying to figure out which city I would want to market to, because where I'm from is like a small town.
Yeah.
And so there's not like a huge market for that, but...
And the websites that you, like, people, like, will, like, use in a city vary city to city.
Exactly.
Almost. So it's like you almost kind of have to know, I don't want to put in all this money in Slixa in this city because not many people are using it.
Exactly.
But I feel like do you feel like the date city hashtags have helped you at all?
I think
Does
so.
that help?
On Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes, because I can see, if people are active in that city, or if they're really talking about things in that city, or talking about getting services in that city. Yeah, so that was another challenge, just figuring out which city would be most successful, because I really had to travel to get myself out there.
Did you have a best city for anything, like for escorting, you'd say?
I would say Atlanta maybe for freestyling.
Okay.
But like Tampa for like more like people booking ahead of time and things like that.
That makes sense. Do people close to you in your life now?
My girlfriend, her she
Nice.
knows. I have a best friend who does. She's a dancer. But that's about it.
Do you feel like it's beneficial to have people you can talk to about work?
Yes, because you definitely need some type of emotional support, or just someone to talk to if anything goes wrong, or, people to know where you are. And I think that's really important, because it would be very difficult if I didn't have anyone and just had to live some type of double life by myself or something like that.
I feel like just having an outlet to just like talk to someone about would be just helpful in just a lot of different situations.
Exactly. And I feel like that's for any job. Like you want to be able to bitch to someone about something.
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to go smoothly.
Like if I have like a comedy related problem, I want to talk to another comic,
Exactly.
So I can hit them up because they understand what I'm going through.
Who better to understand than another comic?
Yeah. Like if I hit up my mom, so I'm like, you don't get this. This is
Right. I will say that is one thing to do in Atlanta. There's quite a few comedy shows.
Yeah, definitely.
I went to my first comedy show here in Atlanta.
Okay. Where do you know where it was?
Do you know where that was? She knows Atlanta more than I do. Midtown. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Laughing Skull is one of the good. It's at the back of the Vortex.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it's a good spot, but comedy is pretty much canceled forever.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. I mean, but yeah, you're right. The radio, maybe, but people.
There's like XM radio. There's comedy on XM, radio. But I'm like, it's still not. It's not the same.
Podcasts.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, if I don't have this podcast, I don't know what the fuck. Like, what people are doing now for stand up is like Instagram live comedy.
Okay. I could see that. That's actually how stripping is happening now, is Instagram
Really?
Live. Yeah, I'm learning about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to need some names.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I'm still doing some research on that, because most strippers now are going to Instagram Live. So, like...
Okay.
Yeah. But I could see comedians doing that, too.
I wonder if they kick you out of the room if you're not tipping. I wonder how that works.
The way that I've been learning about it is that the dancers I know, they'll try to get live on a celebrity's like live, and then they can like pin their Cash App, and then whoever is watching them can tip them, because you can share live with someone else. Yeah. And so that's what they do. But it would be cool if strippers themselves could like host their own thing, and then people can tip them, and I'm sure that's a thing too.
You probably all you need is all you have to do is just go live, and anyone who's followed you can look, and then just like
exactly.
Yeah.
And you could do the same with a comedy show and
Yeah.
have like all your fans there. And...
People have been doing that. It's just like it's such a different thing because like stand up is like I say something and then you react, you laugh. I know like whether it was funny immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like I say something and then I'm like I'm going to say the next thing.
Right, because timing.
And I'm going to say the next thing.
You need the reaction
Yeah.
from the audience.
And then I can just go back and read the Instagram live comments and be like, oh, they laughed at that. It's just not as fulfilling.
I bet. Like, it's not that instant gratification.
I started going on chat roulette to talk to people and try to make them laugh that way. And then you get the instant laugh. And I was like, well, this feels pretty good.
I like that. Maybe even YouTube or something.
Yeah.
But you still can't see the reactions immediately.
No. We'll see. Hopefully, I mean, you never know. I mean, who knows, like, what the outcome of the whole Corona thing will be, and then how people will interact with other people even after that, you know?
Right. We're going to be shaking hands with gloves. Like,
yeah.
We don't know. Talking from, like... From like
it'd be like
bubbles.
6 feet back up.
We'll have bubbles or something. Wow.
My mom was at the store the other day, and like somebody I think she'd saw from like church, like hadn't seen her in a while because they're doing like even the services are all like virtual now, and so she like ran up and like hugged my mom, and my mom was like freaking out, like what?
Oh no, human contact, no.
You're like, I don't know where you've been, fucking, I love you, but back up, please.
Right, it's getting serious.
Man.
Goodness. I hope comedy isn't canceled forever.
It won't be. There's no substitute. You gotta. People need it. Yeah, you can't. Even live, anything live is better for like I feel like than on a screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like theater versus the movies. Like,
yeah,
it's definitely different. It's more emotional. Like
like it's hard to convey. I mean, at least through your phone, it's kind of hard to convey emotion, like tone, and all these things that you're not going to atmosphere in a room versus just like staring at a screen.
Exactly.
But we'll get there. We'll be back.
Absolutely.
I know you said you're in a relationship. How is being in a relationship and escorting? It's
been good because she knows exactly what I'm doing, where I'm at, all that good stuff, can relate, and there's no judgment. Yeah.
I feel like the people that I've talked to that have been in relationships, it's all really about like communication, and that definitely helps.
Oh yeah, we communicate a lot, I think, and very honest and open, so it definitely feels safe to talk about it and to express that because it is a job. Yeah, no, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
When I know you said you're new, when you started like screening is like a huge thing and safety, do you feel like people are willing to give up like personal information, or was it hard starting out?
I feel like people who are seeking me out are more than willing because they want to meet. And so, but people who aren't serious, they're not going to do it. Yeah. Which is good because that just lets me know that I can't meet them anyways, or that they weren't about anything anyways.
I guess it helps because it's like, if you don't want to give me the person, like now I know that I don't need to keep this going because it's not real.
Exactly. Because this is my whole life out here. Like, it's like if you can't give anything, then we definitely can't meet because it's a very vulnerable thing. If you've never met before, you don't even know exactly what my face looks like. I don't know what you really look like. So screening is very important.
Do you accept like references from other providers?
No. Right. Yeah, at first I thought I would, but then, talking to other providers who have been in it longer than me have advised me that it can cause drama, or what if the person doesn't respond, or what if this person what if they had a weird experience where they just don't want to tell you, like, you just I would rather have like real world information. Yeah, because somebody could see a provider, could see like 30 providers be awesome every time, and then one time it's like, exactly, and you just never know.
But you don't have that person's information because you only went off references.
Exactly. I mean, it would be nice to hear like, from someone like, I've met this person is really nice, and you shouldn't have any issues, but also I'm not that person too. But I'd rather have like the real world. What's your LinkedIn? Like, what's your send an ID? Like something real world information that I can verify myself and anyone else could verify as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will you give references for other people that like need them?
Absolutely.
Like okay.
I would. And hopefully, within a 24-hour period, because I'm sure it's frustrating if you want like a quick response and you're trying to get your money.
I feel like for the most part, if I've ever used like references, it's always been has really been really fast.
Like simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
everyone's different.
I don't mind giving them, but definitely don't like depend on them or anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you require deposits for people to see you?
I do, especially if it's a longer engagement, but I always require deposits, and it just lets me know that you're serious about meeting, and it's just always nice to know that if you invest something that we're both going to show up and we're both going to meet.
Because you're already invested beforehand, so you're more willing to be like, I should be here.
Exactly.
Even though you already should feel that way, you should already be like, I said I'm going to be here. Mm-hmm. I'm taking this person's time. They can see somebody else in my place. Mm-hmm. So you should be there, but you're already like showing your investment, I guess.
Exactly, your investment. And I feel like for other businesses, you get a card on file, just to make sure that if they cancel, then you can. So I feel like it's a good business practice to do that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like attraction plays a role at all in seeing clients?
It doesn't. Not for me to see a client. But it's always a plus, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always a plus.
Yeah.
But it definitely doesn't. Yeah.
Have you ever developed feelings at all for anyone while doing this?
I did a little bit one time, and that was in the strip club in Largo, Florida.
Okay.
There was a gentleman who was really, really nice, and I felt comfortable enough to give him my number and talk, and he was very invested in me.
Oh, nice.
But I would say a little bit. He just for some reason stood out.
Do you ever have where in the club people are falling in love with you kind of thing? Does this happen?
Yeah. I think so. And I think with that guy in particular, yes, but I can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because you don't know me.
It's not a it's fabricated situation,
Exactly. It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
In the moment, you don't actually know me at all, so I can't take it seriously.
Yeah, because it's essentially this would not be happening.
Ever.
If I was not in this building, and you were not in this building, we would not be having this conversation.
It is so,
But you suspend disbelief for a couple hours.
And that could be really fun. I've had people propose to me, and I felt like it seemed so serious, but...
Did they have the ring?
No, but they promised that they would get the ring, and
I was like, wow, you really bought the ring, dude.
Right, talking about where we're gonna live and all that good stuff.
Damn.
Goodness, but yeah.
I assume you said no. You're like, I can't. This is...
I never say no. Be like, well, it just depends on
How about this? You come back next week.
Right.
We'll talk about it then.
Exactly.
And then you just tell them that same thing for a couple months.
Exactly. Or until the room is over, whatever.
And you're like, I should probably tell you this. I'm actually already married. Sorry, I can't.
Man.
This is...
Right. But it's very interesting how people play into that fantasy and get really involved, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, it happened to me. It happened to I fell in love.
Fell in love with a stripper.
I was listening to T-Pain for a couple weeks after that shit.
And I get it. It's very intimate. And sometimes you really see someone's real personality shine through, especially if they feel comfortable with you. So I definitely get it, because it's kind of happened to me before, but it's very interesting.
How do you feel about review websites and reviews?
At first, I tried to get on them, but then I decided, after reading reviews of other women, no. Yeah, because it seems like some type of product review or something.
Yeah.
I
feel like I mentioned a lot of podcasts, but Private Delights, I feel like they're a website where the reviews aren't explicit. Mm-hmm. Because I've definitely read some shit and I'm like, wow. Mm-hmm. Dude.
Why? Yeah.
Bro. Wow.
Exactly. I would hate to read something that was disorienting or
Yeah.
So I'm not even gonna put myself in that situation. I always told myself maybe I'll request love notes or something handwritten, something more personal, but not for the world to see.
Do you feel like without reviews, not like, I feel like, I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, do you feel like reviews help legitimize you
At
at
first
all?
I did, because it shows that someone has met you before and all that, but also maybe having a lot of marketing material could
Yeah.
legitimize you, or...
Because your social media that definitely helps. Like that, for
Exactly.
sure.
Exactly, which is why even sometimes when I verify people, I'll ask for like LinkedIn, 'cause that's social media in
Yeah.
a sense, and shows that you're a real person, you interact with other people, and
Yeah.
people know you. But I think
You
it
got
can.
connections.
But I feel like someone who is really invested in someone will look into more than just reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially also too if you have your own like website, your
Mm-hmm.
social media, you're advertising on like multiple platforms. Like it's like this
And that
is
should be something.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you are putting yourself out there. Because
Yes.
when you like you're creating this Twitter, you have this website. If you rip somebody off or whatever, they could just go on Twitter and be like, "Hey, Jade did this to me."
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees this, and then that's your reputation on the line, you know.
Exactly.
So it is, you're like also held more accountable by having the social media.
Right, and I feel I've seen Twitter kind of used as like reviews, like people saying, "Oh, she's a wonderful lady. Had a great
Yeah.
time with her. I can't wait to see so and so."
Yeah.
So in a way, that's kind of like a review,
Oh, definitely.
and it's just like nicer than what I see online at those like other things.
I've seen some terrible things.
Yeah, me too. And so I just don't want to be on that, but I can see how someone could find it somewhat legitimizing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel any pressure at all in a session to live up to any client's expectations?
At first I did. At first I thought, oh, maybe if they had a better experience with this person, they might expect me to be like that person. But, you know, after thinking about it, just like with meeting anyone, everyone's different.
Yeah.
And we can have our own experience, like, in the moment. So, no.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, if they meet me and they like me, they'll show it when they're there. And,
Yeah.
I'm very, like, open with stuff like that, like, gauging if someone's having a good time, but either way, we're here.
Yeah.
We're gonna make the most of it.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had like I'll have like a bad set, you know? Like I'll have just like, ooh, that was bad. Has that ever happened to you where it's like, I feel like I could have done better? Or like, does that...
Sometimes, like, if I immediately think about dancing and I'm like on stage, but no.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah, because I have to just be in the moment. Because if I overthink it, then it's going to affect my day, and someone else can read into that. Because I can definitely read into people overthinking.
Yeah.
Or, you know, being self-conscious. And I feel like if I exude confidence, they'll feel it and feel more safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
So I especially love to feel that from other people.
Okay. Yeah.
So anytime I go into it, I try to be confident and try to be, you know, bright, bubbly.
Because, yeah, people will feel that. Like, people, yeah.
Definitely believe in, like, energy and, like, feeling what someone else is feeling a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
I
know we talked a little bit freestyling, right? What's your experience been with freestyling?
Freestyling is kind of fun, honestly, because you don't know what to expect, and it could be hit or miss.
Yeah.
So, essentially, it's just going to a really nice bar and, you know, seeming approachable, like wanting to talk to people. I try to think of it as networking, like you're networking with people, talking.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you want to get out of here. Like you want to... Because that's essentially what people want to do anyways. And it's kind of like you don't really know what to expect. So it can kind of be like a rush.
Do you have to buy the first drink?
No.
You never buy. You don't get the first one.
Oh no, the first one. Yes.
The first one you get, like, you get like a really nice one. Like,
I see what you're saying.
Like, you get the first drink so that the other people know what you like to drink.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Actually, when I used to freestyle back where I'm from in North Florida, I feel like the waitress would always recognize me.
Really?
She knew what was going on, and she would help me out because I would tip her very well. And she would sometimes bring me free drinks to be like, oh yeah, maybe I'll bring you this so you'll seem more approachable and he'll see what you're drinking. And I thought that was so nice.
Damn, she knew what was up.
She knew what was up. So I was there every Friday. She'll tell me, you know, hey, like this person's cute. He looks like he, you know, might not be married. Who knows? Like,
damn, she's wingman hard.
She was. Because, I mean, and I tipped her accordingly.
Yeah.
She was working hard too.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, that was really fun. I think that's also when I stepped away from social media when I was freestyling. So I thought,
Okay.
oh, I don't need social media. I'll just do this. And
Yeah.
it's in the moment. It's, you know.
Did you get that danger, exciting, like...
That adrenaline, yeah. But of course, like, there's a safe way to do it. I mean,
Okay.
nothing's guaranteed. Like, you could Google the person in the bathroom or get their business card.
Okay.
Or see if they interact with other people. Oftentimes, they'll maybe be with someone or be with a business partner or whoever they travel with.
Okay.
Or sometimes by themselves. But yeah, I do kind of get that rush, that like adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen? What will they think of me? Like, what are they about? Type of... Will they go for it? Type of vibe.
I interviewed this lady probably less than a month ago, but has an app. It's like a screening app called like Verify Him.
I know. Yeah, that's a great app.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that app.
So, yeah.
Because it'll go into detail. It'll be like, how many people have this number, or has this number been used before? Even if someone's been like blacklisted, like it'll go in detail. Like
fuck.
Sometimes where this person is from, like
damn,
I don't know how they do it, but
hell
they
yeah.
do it.
That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
So I read if you haven't read Thriving in Sex Work by Lola Davina, fucking dope ass. It's a good book.
I've heard of that though. I need to download that.
Yeah, it's a really good book. She talks about like emotional and physical labor of the job. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's more like emotionally laborious, physically laborious at all? Like,
I would say maybe more. I think both, and it depends on what we're talking about. I immediately think about dancing when I think of emotional labor.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's been times where I just go in there, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But I still try to give it my all, try to be energetic, try to just make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
But it can be very emotionally taxing.
Because I feel like, I know you mentioned like with sugaring or whatever, it's a lot of like emotional labor because it's like this person is like demanding like a whole lot of you.
Right. A lot of intimacy, a lot of emotional intimacy. Oftentimes these people are married and they just need some type of escape or some type of just fantasy away from their actual life.
Yeah.
But that can be a lot of emotional labor.
Do you feel like sugaring was more emotionally laborious than escorting?
Yes, because I feel like with escorting, you agree on how long you're spending together. And of course, you can really meet some really interesting people, learn a lot from people.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like you take that home with you, at least not in my experience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I take that with me. But with sugaring, you're in a you're kind of in a relationship with this person. This person sees you as their girlfriend and, or their mistress.
Yeah.
And that can be a lot because you're expected to remember, their whole life story.
And
all that good stuff. But they don't know you at the same time. So it's hard to give back what you're taking in.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it works in real life.
Yeah. And there's like reciprocation,
Exactly.
Somebody tells you this thing, you're like, well, I need to reciprocate to make them, so it's not an imbalanced relationship,
Exactly.
Or like a balance.
And what I appreciate about escorting versus sugaring is that I feel like the men who go into it, they have somewhat of an idea of what this is. Like, they have a more mature understanding of what's going on. They're not totally disillusioned by what this exchange is, as opposed to maybe sugaring and, that spoiled girlfriend.
It's just so weird just people try to like assuage their feelings by being like, well, we're like dating. And it's like, bro, come on, dog.
Exactly. So it's just like having a whole nother relationship. And some people who sugar, they'll have their own relationship and still be sugaring. And that can be a lot. But maybe for other people, it's like nothing. Yeah. But, it can be a lot of emotional labor. Yeah. Particularly in dancing, too, because it's very looks-based. You have to make sure you look the part.
And the shit people will say out loud in a strip club.
Yes. Period.
I was in Asheville and like at the Treasure Club or whatever, and like I'm getting a dance and it's like couches, right? Mm-hmm. So there'll be like somebody like sitting like kind of next to me, and like I'm getting a dance and I'm like listening to this guy talk, And I'm just, I'm just like laughing. I'm like, I can't.
Right.
Bro, did you really just say that, dude? Like, it's,
People say some wild stuff in the strip club.
yeah.
And I've definitely heard a lot of stuff. But I also have to remember I can't take that with me. I can't take it personally. I can't let it affect me. That's something that I really had to learn.
Because so much shit is just I'm going to just put my problems onto you so that I feel better.
Right. And now I understand I can't let that affect my self-esteem by any means.
It's like the rubber glue thing. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever bounces off me sticks to you,
it
motherfucker.
All makes sense. Exactly.
Since starting in like in October, right? Did you start the Twitter in October when you started?
I believe yes. I think I should say I started in October.
Do you feel like the sex work community has been like supportive? Like, do you feel like it's been?
I think so. I think that's actually where I've met most of the people that have reached out to me and have, wanted to keep a rapport with me is through Twitter.
Okay.
Because you can show more of your personality and
that's true.
People feel like they know you a little bit more, but I haven't seen anything like negative towards me on there. Or really towards anyone else for the most part. It seems very open, and even when I do see some stuff, it's like that has nothing to do with me.
It can be a war sometimes out there, but I'm like, hey, I just got a podcast. I'm just here. I'm
right,
just here.
Same.
Stay out.
I'm just Jade doing my thing, like just trying to be positive, see what everyone's doing, and worry about me. But yeah, it's been pretty positive so far.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like being a black woman, your experience has been different at all to white providers?
Yes. I think in some ways maybe being black it's definitely like fetishized, which is fine. That's like your thing. But in some ways it can be an advantage because people seek out someone who is black or a black woman.
Okay.
And then I think about like maybe dancing. I think some people don't expect me to be as articulate as I am, or like
that well-spoken bullshit makes me angry. Though.
Yeah, you've heard it too, right? Like
you're so well-spoken.
Right, you must have read books. Like,
thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Right.
Actually, you should really be thanking my parents. Just can you write them a letter? Because I
Right.
wouldn't be what I am without.
Yeah, I've definitely heard stuff like that, or. I think that's probably most of the reason why I've gotten hired in some places is because when I open my mouth or how I carry myself, like,
fuck yeah.
Because some clubs, honestly, it's kind of like a divide. Like, there's black clubs and there's white clubs.
Yeah.
Simple, like.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like maybe in black clubs, I had to figure out how to fit in, like in some ways, and then in other ways. Yeah. It's
almost like kind of like comedy too. Like, so there's like white rooms and then black rooms.
Oh.
It's crazy. Like the dynamic's completely different in both rooms.
Right.
And like black rooms are definitely harder. Like no matter what comic you talk to.
Right.
Black rooms will be harder.
Exactly, because some jokes may not translate.
Well, that too. It's just like I feel like black people. It's like if you're not funny, like immediately they'll let you know. Like if you're not good, they'll fucking roast you on stage. Whereas like a wide audience, they'll be like, he's trying. Okay? He's we can see that he's put forth the effort, but they'll be like, you fucking suck, dog.
That's 100% true, actually. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. I love to see black comedians call out the one white person in the black room, though.
Yeah,
I love that, and they love it too. Like,
yeah,
that's always funny. Love to see it. Yeah, it's definitely different, and yeah, in some ways it can be harder, but I just think of it as an asset. Like, I'm different. Some people might consider it exotic. That's problematic, but it's not my job to.
My buddy says ethnic, and I'm like, bro, that doesn't even make sense.
Gosh.
I'm like, everybody has an ethnicity. It's
exactly. Please don't call black people ethnic, y'all. If you're listening, please don't do that.
Like, what the. God.
Yeah, and I feel like even. I don't know. It's just very interesting. Yeah. Even just code switch, like all that stuff. Like, it's very interesting. Yeah. And it's hard to articulate too, especially if you're not black. Like, it's hard to articulate why it's different to be black in sex work or in this field.
Because again, it could be it could be advantageous. Could be like it's fucking
It could be an asset. It could be a disadvantage. It could be people assuming things like, oh, you might be ghetto, or you might make this place look more this or that or whatever. Or maybe even someone who wants to meet me might expect me to be more, I don't know, like, I can't even find the word.
Yeah, just different than you are. Yeah.
Like what you see on TV or something. And it's not that. I'm an individual.
We're changing these stereotypes out here, people. What up? How y'all doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting.
Yeah. Do you think your views on sex have changed since starting at all?
I think so. I think how I view intimacy is different, or how I think about what maybe men view as intimacy.
Yeah.
I first saw that, being in the clubs, like how little you have to do for men to feel like you form some type of strong connection.
Okay.
And that's been interesting.
How would you say, like, what do you think? How would you say, like, men viewed intimacy, or like, what do you like?
I feel like they might have, especially in the club, I see like warped views of what that means. Like, okay, I'm talking to you, I'm looking you in your eye, yes, but you don't know me, I don't know you. I still have to proceed with caution. Anything can happen. And I feel like we take up different spaces. So a man obviously is going to feel comfortable sitting in the strip club, not worry about anything happening to him.
Yeah.
But I have a different perspective. I have to think about, what if something goes wrong? What if this person is too touchy? What if they, go past my boundaries? And how am I going to assert myself? They're not worried about that.
Yeah, no.
So.
Yeah, there's so much you have on your mind. And they're just like, oh, I'm just here to have fun. And you're like, I'm thinking about so many things right now.
Right. And still trying to have a good time and make sure that we're all smiling and giggling, which is fun, honestly.
Like I was, like the lady who has the Verify Him app, right? Mm-hmm. So she danced, she started out dancing, and I was talking to her about it. And I was like, just go, because the first time I ever went to a strip club, I was like 28. So I've only been like less than 10 times in my life ever. Okay. And I felt like the power dynamic is really interesting, to where it's like, who essentially has the power in the whole thing, right? Because it's like, the women are essentially like the product, what people want. The dudes have the money. Who has the power in the situation? It's
definitely a power struggle.
It's just like such an interesting thing.
I'm what you want to see, but you also have my livelihood in your hands.
Yeah.
So. And I feel like there's a sense of entitlement there too. Like, if you don't work for this, I'm not going to give this to you. But also, I'm here to work. So it's a strange balance.
It's a crazy place.
I definitely feel like the women are in more of a vulnerable spot. And I don't think that everyone who goes into the club thinks about that. Because of course you're not. Because you're just there to have a good time sometimes. But
I mean, I didn't think about any of this before I went in. And then I was like, I mean, obviously, there's something between us,
Yeah. It's not the alcohol, right?
Yeah, I'm like, we could,
Exactly. Like, I like that initial feeling, like you feel like you made some type of connection, but I also know realistically that that's because I'm being bubbly, I'm keeping the party going, and I'm succumbing to your expectations right now in this moment.
Yeah. 100%. Mm-hmm. Has your view on men, you think, changed at all since starting? Since starting everything?
Sometimes I think more about how they're perceiving situations than maybe I would have before. Like how they're viewing this whole exchange, like what's going on here. Sometimes after the fact, I'll think about, just what are they thinking about? Like what drew them to me or things like that, but not essentially, like it hasn't changed that much.
Okay, nice.
I just might think more about why, what they're thinking about this exchange, and what their expectations are, and all that. Nice. It's definitely made me a little bit more cautious, especially since you're meeting strangers all the time, and definitely got to be cautious when you're meeting people you don't know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I don't think I would have looked at it that way before completely.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What would you tell somebody wanting to get into, like, say, like dancing or escorting? Would you have any advice for anyone wanting to do that?
I would say that You definitely need to do research and understand, why you want to. Understand, like, your end goal, like, what your goals are.
Okay.
Just like with any job, like, what do you hope to get out of this?
Yeah.
And examine that fully. And that will help you through it, keep you consistent.
Fuck yeah.
If you understand why you're doing it. If it's to meet a certain monetary goal, if it's to just have your own business, be in charge of your money, be in charge of yourself, have autonomy of how you make money in a sense, and definitely do research and understand that it's not exactly how it's portrayed on YouTube or from people who are successful from it. Because I think when we do research, we're doing research on people who are successful.
That's true.
And that can create a warped view of what's really going on.
Because it's like they're successful over a long period of time, Exactly. You don't start out successful, like, initially.
Exactly. And that's true. And some people expect to be successful immediately. Yeah. But I feel like to have success, you definitely have to be consistent, understand why you're doing it, have some type of drive, have some type of support, have safety measures, and just feel safe when you do it. Especially when it comes to dancing. You definitely don't want to be in too much of a desperate place, because then you might bend on your boundaries and that could put you in unwanted situations.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice for someone who's thinking about doing it. They're not sure. Just be sure why.
Do you have any advice for a client wanting to see somebody for the first time?
Yes. I would say also understand why you want to, understand what you want to get out of the experience. That's
what I say all the time. I'm like, you need to ask yourself, like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Because I'm like, you're going to spend all this money, you're going to do all this thing, and if you don't understand why you're doing this or what you're trying to get out of it, it's going to be a rat race. And then you're going to be right around at the beginning. You're going to spend all this money, and then you're like, I still don't know what I'm looking for.
Right. Like, are you chasing intimacy? Yeah. Are you wanting to fulfill a fantasy? Are you wanting to escape from reality? Like, are you just curious?
Yeah.
But always remember there's someone else on the end of that. Like, there's a person, like, on the end of that. 'Cause, maybe men can also be disillusioned by, like, what's really going on here, or who's on the other end of their experience.
I think if all you have is TV or news, or you don't know anybody who's a sex worker, or you don't know anything, like, your view is going to be warped.
Yeah.
And you don't even really know that because all you have is what you've seen, but it's, like, warped until you, like, actually meet people and you're like, well, my view is wrong.
Exactly. You can make some really good connections, like meeting a lot of these women, because from what I feel like your podcast does a good job of showing is that these women are really smart and they have a lot of goals and they have a lot of talents, and they're real
great people.
Yeah, exactly. People you want to meet and maybe would not have met otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to really think about.
Fuck yeah. Shout out to all my guests. If you've been on the podcast, you listen to this, fuck, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I remember even in some of my traveling, I did listen to the podcast, like, on the way to Tampa or in the car, and I learned a lot of stuff I wouldn't have before.
Fuck yeah. Well,
but
thanks
I think
for
that's
listening.
really cool. Yeah, of course.
Where do you see yourself in, like, 5 years?
I would see myself having multiple businesses,
having
some published work for sure. Really within the next year, like, having, like, various, like, diverse streams of just different things going for me. Especially when it comes to writing.
I know we spoke about it before. How long have you been writing? What do you write? Like,
I've been writing for a long time. I've been writing since I was 12, and it's only gotten more mature, more better, like, gotten to reflect on, like, my work from before and figuring out what types of stories I want to write.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to poetry, because there's, like, no rules when it comes to that.
Oh, yeah.
And so figuring out, what type of stories I want to tell, especially personal stories, like what's important to get out there and put on paper.
Fuck yeah. Do you have a favorite poet at all?
Favorite poet, Allen Ginsberg is my favorite poet. He's a poet from the 60s who was a part of the Beat movement, and everyone's doing psychedelics.
Like Greenwich Village.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like his work because it's very experimental.
Yeah.
And he just did not care, like, what anyone else was doing.
Yeah.
What the future would be doing. And I feel like a lot of people write like that now and, like, got that from him.
Fuck. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And he's very influenced by Walt Whitman, which is what I really like. It's very, like, out there and kind of sexual and kind of just experimental.
Fuck yeah.
So, yeah, he's definitely my favorite poet.
Hell yeah. 5 years, you got stuff published, this would be dope. I mean,
right.
I'm excited to check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fuck yeah. I didn't mention before, are you a fan of stand-up at all?
I used to be when I was younger.
Okay.
I used to really love Reggie Watts.
Okay, yeah.
He's experimental.
Yeah.
Like, he
you playing the
care.
keyboard and shit? Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah, no, he's funny.
Reggie Watts. I remember I was into Joe Coy for a little bit, but I don't know where he went.
He's still doing it.
Dimitri Martin, because he was also kind of strange and had his own little experimental thing going on.
He has a one on Netflix that was funny.
Yeah, I saw that, and there's actually a show out right now, comedians in cars getting coffee.
Oh yeah.
Show.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of gets like older comedians on there talking about. Like,
I just like people talking comedy. Like, it's cool to see.
Right, that connection between them.
Yeah,
and it's very reminiscent. I like that show.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. Before we get out of here, right? Any funny stories? Any strange? Anything you wanna? Any funny
stories? I think the first thing that comes to mind is this regular that I used to see in the Clearwater area. Like, he would always come to the club so high, whatever level he was on was just like a different level. But he would give like these long hugs, like these long, just that would last for at least 5 minutes. And
really?
You don't know how to stop it.
At least 5 minutes.
He moved so slow too. Like, he was always in slow motion and always smiling. Just,
it's like the sloth from Zootopia.
Exactly like that. Imagine that, but in the club.
Wow.
But yeah, that was funny. And
what like after the hug, would he like just be like, okay, I'll
he would
see.
just look at you and be like, yeah. Sometimes he would be so high, like, couldn't speak. Like, just
really?
Whatever was in that vape was doing him right.
He just came for the hugs. That's not,
right.
That's not bad.
And to nod to some music and
some people just need hugs, you know? Maybe just need a hug sometimes.
Come to the stage every once in a while. But yeah, that's the first thing I think of.
Good old hug, dude. What up, dog? How you doing?
Always knew what to expect.
Hey, wow. Jade, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun.
Of course. It's been very fun. I really appreciate it.
Do you want to tell the people where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, mainly Twitter. Everything is on Twitter. Jade Adore XO. That has links to literally everything, like the website, my Instagram, which is also Jade Adore XO. Everything is
Jade Adore XO.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah. Listeners, Jade Adore XO, give her a follow. Fuck yeah. Well, I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Of course. It's been really fun.
Fuck yeah. Listeners, we will be back. All right, later. That was my interview with Jade Adore. Yo, shout out Jade. I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That was a good time. That was a lot of fun. Listeners, she just plugged it. I will plug it again. You can find her on Instagram, on Twitter, at Jade Adore XO. I'll have links to all her social media and also her website in the Libsyn page. So make sure you go to the Libsyn page, fullservicepod.libsyn.com, and give her a follow. We are also on Instagram and Twitter at fullservicepod. You can follow me at tankfunkadelic. Our email address for the podcast, fullservicepod@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Let us know how you feel about the podcast. If you want to hear anything talked about, perhaps if you want to be a guest on the podcast, send us an email, fullservicepod@gmail.com. This has been episode 32. I appreciate y'all being here. Fuck yeah. Another week. If you enjoy the podcast, if you like the podcast, if you're like, hey, Tank, ooh, boy, something special's happening here, subscribe to the podcast. That'd be amazing. If you could write a review, that would be incredibly helpful. Give us a rating, 5 stars. Ooh, boy, that'd be great. Uh, I recently got stickers for the podcast. If you want a sticker, all you have to do, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Also, YouTube. Send me a screenshot. Hit me with an address. I will send you a sticker. But no, this has been episode 32. I just said it. I appreciate y'all being here. We will be back next week. My guest, Juliet. She is an Atlanta-based body rub specialist. She's also a companion. She's a former dancer and also the creator of the screening app Verify Him. I sat down with her. It was probably at the beginning of March. So yeah, I'm excited for y'all to hear it. It's a lot of fun. But no, I appreciate y'all being here. We're living in crazy times. Corona's out there. I hope everybody out there is being safe. I'm trying to be safe. Ooh, we'll see what happens. But no, thanks for being here. We'll be back next week. Stay safe out there. Hey, it's 420. I guess today is. Smoke weed, maybe? I don't know. All right, later. Full service.